Hi everybody, welcome back to the Tuesday tips. We are continuing with our hooping for the embroidery machine. Last week we went through all the basics, what you need to do when you're hooping your fabric. Now I'm just taking it a step further and I'm going to show you how to do multi-hooping to actually build up a little design, what you're seeing over here. Now when we talk about multi-hooping, there's a lot of designs out there that's already a multi-hoop design, meaning it's a big design, and what they would have done, they would have done some little cross marks for us where after the design finished to go, it will do that little cross marks, and then when I do the next part of the design, which will build it up, is actually also got those little cross marks. I've got to make sure it lines up. Now what I've done here really is, because I work on my clothing, I want more of an effect. So I wanted to really get a nice effect on my vest, and I looked at what's on my embroidery machine. I looked at the built-in designs because I had an idea in my mind what I wanted to do, and I found these little circles. So if you look at the image, it's just a small little design with your couple of circles and swirls in there, and we went and we actually now added it, or we're combining it almost by doing multiple hoopings to build up a design. I'm still busy with my vest top. I'm going to add a couple more circles here and there, but I will definitely be wearing it on Friday feature video. Now another thing that I wanted to also just talk to you about, now if you are going to be working with multi-hooping, you need to actually print the templates of the design, and you're going to print maybe 4, you're going to print maybe 6, because you want to first plan. You're not going to immediately go to your fabric and you're going to design. If you look at the image that I'm sharing, this is really Cynthia and myself sitting there planning how do I want my top to look and moving those templates around. And once I've got that templates on the right position, then I can go and I start making my markers. Now it's also very important that if you go and print it, that you make sure that you've got those cross markers on, or that cross mark on your template. That is just telling you exactly, if you're hooping, that's the center of your hoop that it's actually showing you. So it's so important to actually print that. And look again at my picture that I'm showing you. Can you see you've got that definite vertical line and horizontal line, and right in the center where they are crossing, that is my center point. So I know that's the center of my design. Now when I take mine as well, I go and I make little notches. I go and cut it quite close to my design. I leave the whole A4 page. I went and I literally cut around the design. I decide, or I look at it, what is the top of my the design, and I make a little arrow on it so that every time I put it on my fabric, I know if I'm hooping, that is going to be the top. You'll also see when we are working with the hooping, we are going to show that to you as well. So that is one thing. It's important to, before you cut anything away, go and mark the top of the design so that when I'm placing it, because some places my hoop was really going this way in an upward position, then it was going that way. It was all how I placed it at the end of the day. So you must make sure that you go and do that for me. Now if you're not sure, or if you just have your embroidery machine, or you're new to the machine embroidery and you're not sure what software to use because you don't have any software, Benina does have a free software. It's called ArtLink, and you're going to look for the ArtLink version 8. It's a free download. And all you have to do is go and install it on your computer, and that also gives you the option then when you open a design in the software and you go to File and just go Print Preview, you can see the preview of the design, and you just want to actually print that design with those I call it a cross marker. I'm not too sure what you actually can call it, but it's like a cross marker, and I go and print it. And then I know now with the layout, I'm literally putting a puzzle together, and I'm moving it around and seeing. And as I'm looking at this top now, and you're also looking at this, I want to get that definite line that I started with. I want to actually move away from the design. That's a definite line. So I'm going to maybe add some circles there. I might still add a bit of circles there, but I don't want to cover the whole vest in there. Now what I've also done with this is just an embroidery design. I decided I wanted to cut out the circles, so I'm going to do reverse applique with it. So I took 2 layers, and I've got a piece of offcut still of, it's almost like a tie-dye, but it's got a bit of a burn out. So I still had this that I kept, and I thought one day I'm going to color block with it, but it came in handy for this one. And I've just got a normal black t-shirting. That's all I've got. Both of them have got stretch, and I went ahead and I cut out on both fabrics a front of my vest. I don't want to just work on my fabric as it is and just start randomly placing stuff and then go cut out my vest. I wanted to really see the vest top and where do I want it to be. So be sure also that you are going to cut out your pattern, and again just put the 2 layers together. I just went and did a basting stitch to keep my layers together, and then I started playing and I started putting my templates down and I started marking it, and so far this is the result. And every time where I wanted to, there I'm still thinking, I'm really thinking, am I going to cut more circles? Am I going to cut these circles as well? I've done the very big circles and the really small circles, and the more you're cutting, the more you're getting a different effect because of this, let's say the fabric at the back. It's the way that it's showing through on the black, and I don't know, I'm just loving it. Also, just one thing to note, if you're going to try a project like that and you're going to be cutting away, don't cut right next to your stitches. Leave a little bit of your black fabric there so that I'm not cutting the stitches. And first off, what I like about it, once it's washed, it almost just slightly lifts a little bit, and it just gives the vest top nice character as well. But you don't want to go right next to your stitches. I went quite close, but I've still left, you can't really see it on camera, but I've still left enough for it to actually, once I wash it, to cool up a little bit. Now we're going to show you the whole process of how to hoop it. Cynthia is actually going to do the hooping for us, and then I'm definitely going to be sure to go and finish this top so that I can wear it on Friday and show it to you. So let's go to the next steps now, which will be the hooping. I'm just thinking, before we move to the hooping, go first and look what designs you have. And one thing that we did do, and I must mention this because some of you out there might have the Benina embroidery machines, and you might have this design on there. We took it over to our software, and it's not the ArtLink, we've got the digitizing software. So we took it over to the software, and Cynthia changed it to a triple stitch. I just felt I wanted that stitch to stand out, and the embroidery design, because it's a quilting design, was just a single stitch. So she went and actually changed the stitch to a triple stitch. That's what she's changed for me on there. And also, again, I'm just wanting you to pick up here, and I hope you can see it on the camera, what she did when we did the multi-hooping. You can literally go and randomly place it, but we wanted to connect the stitches. So as the swirl is running over there, the swirl goes all the way around and it stops there. So we did the hooping, and she also just made sure on the machine that, and we showed to you, to line up. That was the end point, and that's the beginning point of my next design. And she's gone and made sure that they connect. I've still got a bit of stabilizer. We worked with Avalon on this, so if you see some fluffy there, I've still got a bit of stabilizer. I've got to go and rinse it. But everywhere, you'll see this whole loops, or everywhere, even on there, they are connected. So this whole thing is connected. It almost looks like one big embroidery design that we did. So always be aware also, if you're playing with your multi-hooping, as I said, it can be a loose design that you can place randomly and just angle it. But if it's got a definite beginning and end point like this one had, make sure you join that beginning and end up, the end and the beginning point, like what we've done on this area. We've done it there, we've done it there. So it's all the time a continuous flow. So that's things that you've got to look for. Again, look at your stabilizer, make sure that you've got your stabilizer on. We did wash away at the back, and on the top, because it's a knit fabric, the stitches sinks into the fabric. We went and we did the Avalon, which is the plastic topper, which is also going to wash away. So just make sure that your stabilizing is perfect. That's what we want to do here. And I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you like the do you like the vest? I want to almost say a t-shirt, but do you like the vest, or are you going to be trying it? You must let us know about it. But let's first take you now through the hooping. If you look at what we've done so far, I've actually gone and I've drawn a line down there, and then Cynthia was hooping on this area. I literally had a line with a cross because I used my cross for marking my fabric. Now this one, we've just gone with a Sharpie just to go and draw on the lines of the design. so that you can actually just see it on camera. You won't usually, if I just use it as it is here, you're not going to see it. And what we also did is I marked what was the top of my design and left corner. So we knew every time when we were putting this design down that where was the left corner when we were hooping it. So we knew exactly. And if you look at this design over there, that was, we hooped it this way every time we did it, because it's got a line coming out, and can you see the swirl stopping there? So the swirl stopped there, we picked it up again with the swirl there when we did our markings, and once it finished, where that swirl ended, we made sure the next one when we placed it, we picked up again the swirl going there. We wanted it to look continuous. Now Cynthia is really going to take you through the hooping. I decided how I wanted my top, because this is my vest top and this is some of my fabric and my stash, and then she's actually the expert in just going ahead and hooping this fabric for me. In any case, so we're just going to show you how she hoops it now when she's going to do the hooping, how she's going to mark it. So she's going to mark this with chalk for us, and make sure when you are working, we are working with our wash away, which is our Avalon Plus, which is at the bottom, and then we've got the topper, which is the plastic. If we don't do the topper on the top with the t-shirting, it just sinks in and you hardly see your stitches. So please make sure that you use the right stabilizer when you're going to work with this. And we only did one layer of the wash away stabilizer at the bottom, because I've got a double layer of fabric that I actually sewed together to give me the effect that I wanted. So this will be, the whole area will stay double as it is, and I'll just go and put my single layer, which is my back, which I'll sew onto this. I'm not going to cut any of my backing fabric away. This really becomes part of my top at the end of the day. That's how I planned my top that I wanted. So Cynthia is now going to take over here, and she's going to go ahead and explain the hooping for you.
So we've already done some of it. So Elspie's decided she wants a pattern there. We want the bigger circles to sort of be opposite each other. So we are always working, we chose to work with our hoop top over there, and that circle always on the left hand side. So we have marked it. So because I'm hooping from this side, I need to always make sure that my template is facing up and that that's on the left. And on your hoops, when we were talking about hooping the other day, I said to you that your hoops have a definite up and down, top and bottom. So on my Benino hoops, we've got a triangle. Some of them have circles, some of them have squares, some of them have left and right. Okay, we are going to work with our template, and in this instance it's very important that we work with our template, because our template is going to give us our crosshairs. I don't know if you can see that. I need to match this pattern here exactly with my template, so that when I place it on my fabric, I know exactly where it's going to stitch out. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to mark with our chalk where we want it. Okay, so Elspie liked it about there.
I think so, yeah. I think we can even lift it, I think like that.
Okay.
So that circle is almost in the middle of that area over there, because that's the, I'm going to cut out here. I'm still thinking if I'm going to cut out a smaller circle. So it's developing, guys, as we're going. You really only know what you want to do once you've finished it. I've only cut out the circles, which was the big circles, but I'm in two minds to really go and cut out one or two of the smaller circles as well.
I think just cutting out a few of the smaller, these smaller ones.
The smaller ones,
will actually just make it that much nicer. Okay.
Sorry, I'm just fiddling here with Cynthia. I want that almost like spot in the middle. This one can lift a little bit. It can go in there. I want a bit of black showing between the next ones.
Okay.
So I think that's where I want.
So we've put our wash away stabilizer, and we're going to mark now where our crosshairs are going to be.
I think you're going to need the pink for on the Avalon.
Okay.
You can even use the permanent marker if you wanted to.
Okay, so there we've got our crosshairs, and we know that that's to the top. Okay, we're going to draw our...
I think draw it in the pink. The pink is actually showing up quite nicely.
Okay. We're going to draw, and remember again when I explained to you about hooping, we take our lines far across. It doesn't help to have small little lines. It's not going to help me when I need to do my hooping and line up with my template. So this chalk washes out, ladies, so don't stress too much that it's going to be a problem. Okay, I'm going to use one that we haven't done with a permanent marker, simply because I won't be able to get that perfectly where I need to align it. It's too thick. So we're going to use one of the other templates, and I'm going to line it up with the notches that Elspie made. Can you see? I've got my top and I've got my left, and I'm going to just pin it in the center.
You can really take one design and even one of your built-in designs, and you can go and you can repeat it and create a beautiful embroidery design. It actually looks like you've used a very big hoop for it. So can I just move that a little bit? Or are you going to move it there?
No, I'll move it slightly.
You move it slightly.
We can put one or two more pins. Just remember, the more pins you use, just make sure when you hoop it that you do remove the pins. Okay, I've pinned it so that it doesn't move out too much. And
don't you want my flat pins for when you're working with the template? I'm just thinking those pink ones are going to stand up.
Okay, we can.
This will be another pin. We're actually not cutting anything out. We're showing you the process, and we just want this to be flat. There we go.
Now the pins are not going to stay there when we hoop, when we start embroidering. They're just to keep my template where I want it.
I think that's going to be much better if we can do it that way, so that it's not sticking up when we use the template. When you're also going through this process, just be patient when you are doing it, because this is really going to be the part where you've got to be accurate. Once it's in the machine and it's embroidering, all the work has already been done. This is really just making sure that we are placing it where I want the design to be.
Okay, so now we've got our hoop. I'm making sure that the bottom of my hoop is facing bottom, top is facing top. And now we're going to use the template. Again, remember when I explained to you about hooping, we need to make sure that the writing is legible, so that my hoop is in the correct place according to my template. And now I'm going to place my crosshairs.
Can you see why it was important to, on my template mark, I just did a little arrow to say that's the top, because by the time you're working with this, you're angling your hoop all the time, and if you don't know what's going to show to the top, this one is actually a plain design, but if as soon as it becomes a bit more involved, the design, you definitely need to know what's the top of the design, so that when you're hooping, you're not hooping putting the hoop incorrectly. So that is really telling us how we've got to hoop it now.
Yeah, the direction that we're going in.
The direction, yeah.
Okay, now this is where it becomes a little bit tricky. You can use a little bit of Madeira spray, ladies, if you want to. You can spray this to your stabilizer if you want to. I'm going to try and do it without the Madeira spray. The reason why I'm wanting to do it without the Madeira spray is simply because we're working with a reverse applique. And the Madeira spray is wonderful. I don't know if we spoke about it. I think we did speak about it.
We did speak about it.
For floating.
Yeah.
So what this is also nice, if I'm doing a project like this and I'm working with no fabric in that area, and I need to maybe attach the fabric to the stable even though I'm hooping it. The reason why I'm not using it right now is because I'm doing the reverse applique. So it will dissolve within a day or two, or you can just rinse it out. I just didn't want the top fabric and the bottom fabric sticking together because it makes it a little bit difficult to cut out there. But if you do want to do it, by all means, lady, it's not going to be an issue. Okay, we're going to pick up our template and we're going to move our bottom. If it moves out slightly, don't stress. We can always straighten it up a little bit in the hoop. I've loosened the bottom part of my hoop a lot. Can you see how it's moved out slightly? I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm just going to take my fabric slightly and pull it. And slightly and pull it. I'm not stretching the fabric. Remember we spoke about stretchy fabric. If you pull on it, you're going to stretch it out, and we don't want that. Okay. As Elspie said, it takes a little bit of patience. Okay. I'm not too worried if it's a little bit of a millimeter or so out. We can always move that on the machine, but that's going to give me practically a perfect stitch out. Can you see that? It's lined up exactly with my crosshairs. Okay, I'm just going to move out of camera just to tighten it. Okay, and I haven't stretched my t-shirting. Now I can remove this. Remember at this stage to remove the pins. Okay.
So on this section, like Cynthia mentioned, if your one line was perfect but we were off slightly with one of them, that's not an issue. She's going to show you now on the machine how she actually looks at the design again, and she's going to move it slightly up or down to get it to the right position that we want it to be, and then we're going to embroider it.
Okay, we're ready to embroider. I just want to mention that you need to pin away any of the excess fabric. Mine is a little on the side only, so I've pinned away, I've rolled and I've pinned away. It's important to pin the excess fabric away. You don't want it sliding under the hoop when it's embroidering, because if it embroiders this part of the fabric, it's going to be very difficult, if impossible, to loosen. Okay, we're ready to embroider. I am going to start with a slower speed because I'm not totally on fabric. Half of the embroidery is going to be done only on stabilizer, and I don't want any maybe thread knotting. So I'm going to be cautious and I'm going to start on a slower speed. Once I see the embroidery moving over to the fabric, I can go a little bit faster. So here we go. Okay, I'm just going to stop. I've taken off the cut feature. Again, because I'm only working on stabilizer, I don't necessarily want it to knot. So I've taken off the knot and cut feature. And I've put my plastic Avalon on the top. I haven't hooped it. If you prefer to hoop it, that's fine, whatever you prefer. I tend to just cut a little bit bigger than my design, and if you want, you can magic tape it. Okay, I'm going to put my speed a little bit faster. And I'm going to watch the whole time. Please do not leave your machine unattended. This time I'm going to use a little bit of Madeira spray, simply because most of the area is not going to have fabric, and I'm joining my stabilizers, and that part there is going to be outside of my hooping area, and I don't want a chance of it moving around or folding. So if you look here, we've got a line going there and it follows through. So I want to be able to line up that starting point with that end point. And I also need to make sure that those two circles are not overlapping. So I've placed my placement where I want it, and I have pinned it. You can't really see here, but I can see that the one line flows into the other, and we're now going to mark it with our chalk. The same way we did with the previous ones. Okay. I'm going to remove my template, draw my lines. I'm going to put my template back just for hooping purposes. It makes it easier for me to visualize where that's going to embroider out. Find my center point. We've put the hoop wrong. That means if I stitch this out, it's going to embroider wrong. You need to make sure that your top is showing where the top of my template is, and that's a very, very easy mistake to make. You see how easily I made that mistake. So now we've hooped, and I've hooped so that my vertical line and my template are not aligned. You can see here there's quite a distance there, and I purposely did that because I want to show you that you can move your design into the correct position. I'm just going to take the needle down. Can you see where my needle is? That's my starting point on this design, and I can see already it's in the incorrect position because I've got 2 stitches left from the previous design. That means I need to move the design more to the right hand side. So I'm going to lift this, and we are going to move the design. Okay, so we're actually moving the design. Can you see it moving there? Okay, and now I take the needle back down again, and I'm happy with that. I'm just going to maybe move it 1 or 2 down, and maybe another 1 or 2 down. Okay, maybe a little bit more. A little bit more. It all takes patience. Okay, I'm going to show you here quickly. And I'm happy with that. I don't know if you can see. That's going to be the starting point now of this design, and it's starting on the edge of the last design.
You've seen now how to do your placements with your templates. You've actually also seen how to hoop it and how Cynthia used her templates and even the hooping template, the plastic template that you have to make sure that everything is lined up. Now you are going to really go look at what's on your machine. So many times we don't even look at what is available on the machine, and go and see, even if it's, you don't even have to do the reverse applique or the cutout. Just take a flower and just place it randomly and make sure that it almost flows and gives you a beautiful design as if it's all done in one hooping. And go play with your designs now and go and see what you can make. I just love the idea that we can change a normal vest with black t-shirt fabric and just go and do something like this now. And if you are going to also play, you are always welcome to send photos or just post photos on my Facebook pages. My Facebook pages are Schurfer Design South Africa and also Behind the Seams. And you can just go and do a visitor's post there. I love to share it with everybody in our community so they can see what everybody is doing out there. So all I can say now from here on is really go play, go have fun, and start making beautiful tops that you can wear. Until next time, happy sewing.